Meteorologist Joe Bastardi, your Blank Industries. Well, this isn't the weekly, this is the review of the winter season. Now, we're not completely done uh, with the snow, but I figure, yeah, I mean, the lion's share of it's over. And so when we take a look at what happened with the temperatures, remember we had a cold in the Great Lakes into the central part of the United States, so obviously displaced well to the west over here, and a nightmare along the eastern seaboard as far as snow goes. And in between here, we had above normal snowfall in some places. This was what the snow looked like, and so you get into the upper lakes here, back into the plains, and of course in the west very much above normal snowfall. Small area of above normal showing up from northern Arkansas into southern Illinois there, but the rest of it is quite a bit below normal here. Northern and central New England did wind up normal to above, but again, displaced much further west. Now, at the beginning of the winter, I put this on, and I showed you the main features that we had to look at as far as the Madden-Julian oscillation, that this eastern hemisphere, the drying in the eastern hemisphere in the western Indian Ocean here, sinking air, supported phases 5 and 6. The heavy precipitation in Southeast Asia supported phase 4. These are all very, very warm phases. Further east, the sinking over here supported, we see this 1 and 2, supported a colder winter. And then we get to this enhancement over Northeast South America supported a colder winter. So we had two dogs fighting, and which one was going to win? That was the big question. And the idea was, well, we'll have enough back and forth that we center it over the center of the country. But that's not what happened. Now, before I show you this, I don't know why they do this stuff, but the vertical velocity verifications are opposite colors. So orange is where the blue is, okay? Yellow and orange are where the blue is on the forecast map, all right? The verification map, okay? So you could see where the orange is showing up with strong upward motion. And you see the blue over here? That represents the yellow and blue. They flip the colors. It drives me nuts to see that. You get a model with a different color base, and then the verification's opposite color. But what happened? What I want to really point out is if you look over here toward South America, to get this 8 and 1 that you see over here and this that we have, you need a lot of orange there, and there's just nothing there. So the Western Hemisphere response to fight off what was going on in the Eastern Hemisphere with the MJO was nothing. And January and February really, again, the orange represents less than average outgoing long wave radiation, and what that means when it comes to the other map, it means there's strong upward motion going on, and that's a phase 4 signal, just like the blue in the western the western Indian Ocean is a phase 6 signal, and that's what we saw. The MJO kept going into those warmer phases, right? But when we look at the March, see how March changed, and so the cold air tried to come east, made some nice attempts between the 5th and the 25th. It was pretty darn cold across the country. It was very cold across the country. Of course, the East managed to hang on. Part of that reason is the sea surface temperature. The biggest things we've got to look for now is going forward, the lesson of the winter. Where does that North Pacific hotspot show up? It's going to be there someplace almost every winter. And that's because the reason I believe is people I talk to, uh, we believe that there's a lot of underwater geothermal input into the oceans, and that in turn is changing the oceanic temperatures. And depending on various cast of characters, that hotspot in the North Pacific shows up, and it showed up so far west that's where the ridge developed, and it hooked in beautifully to the MJ. You can't tell which one's a chicken or the egg, but they're both working in tandem. And of course, you've got all the warmth of the water in the Western Atlantic. Now that can be overcome if these two features are different. If you're not in phase 4, 5, and 6 of the Madden-Julian Oscillation, and this warm patch in the northern Pacific is further east, so it can be overcome. Of course, we had these temperatures. So where did the cold wind up? It wound up in a sliver of cold along the west coast. That's where the trough decided to go to, right? So you got this. Now, in the cold samples, the warm water is much further east over here. Still warm off the east coast. There's still an MJO, there's still warmth over here, though the MJO is not nearly as strong. It's more variable, back and forth. But that warm water tucked in next to the west coast, these are the five, these are the 13, 14, 14, 15, 17, 18, 20, 21, 21, 22, where we had significant outbreaks of cold in the heart of the winter. So you can see what that see where that is, right? And so what did you wind up with? So going forward now in our long range forecast, what are we going to use and take from this? We've got to and look, I tried to do that this year, looking at that MJO forecast with the vertical velocities, but we did not get the response in the Western Hemisphere. We had it it happened in December for a while. Remember the unbelievable Arctic outbreak, right? And then when the Eastern Hemisphere signal fell apart in March, guess what? The cold came again. So we've got the clues to improve the forecast next year, because there's always going to be cold showing up. We just got to figure out exactly where it's going to go. It's not like, oh, the planet's so warm, there's not going to be any cold anywhere, all right? That's not what goes on. It means that the amount of warmth outduels the amount of cold, but cold is still going to be around. Now, it's going to be trickier next year because we have an El Nino winter that I suspect will be backing off during the winter. Because I think I am very impressed with the strength of this El Nino late in the hurricane season into the fall. But I think it starts backing off. And listen, if you back the El Nino off and keep the warmest water in the Central Pacific, that is a big signal for a lot of a bad winter in the East. Let's see, 09, 10, and let's see, 02, 03, those winters, right? So, you can't broad brush this thing at all. I mean, you saw how much rain we had in California. That was sort of the anti-Nino signal. Anyway, that's it for now, and we'll be keeping an eye on it all summer long, and keep an eye on your winter weather alerts because there's still going to be some snow showing up. I mean, there's a chance it actually snows in the interior east next week after being close to 90 Thursday or Friday this week, but April is a crazy month. All right, April showers bring May flowers. What do May flowers bring? The pilgrims. That's a joke I learned like when I was 4 years old. I thought it was amusing. I still do. Anyway, thanks for your loyalty, and hope this shines some kind of a light on the whole situation. And enjoy the weather. It's the only weather you got.